everyone, it's Robin, Artist Island Crafts, and welcome to my studio. This is my Whip It Wednesday video where I'm going to show you the crafty goodness that I've been working on. As you can see, I have not made any progress at all on the community quilt. What I think I'm going to do this week is I'm going to go ahead and move it over here. So what happens is after the video, I'll fold this in half and put it underneath the baskets, and it's just a piece of batting that I see. It's hard to get in and out of the bookshelves all the time. So I'm thinking if I put it over here, then I'm going to look at it more often. When I go to move it, I'm thinking about sewing some of these together. So this is going to be my weekend project. This is what I'm planning. We'll see what happens. Maybe I'll work on it during the week ahead of time. But I was thinking all week that maybe I'll take and sew these together in groups of 2, either up and down or side by side. And then that way I can add some pieces in between when I want to add those quarter square triangles or I want to put some flying geese. And I think that will make it a lot easier. And it'll, once you get started, at least for me, once I get started on it, then it makes it easier for me to keep going. But when I fold it up, it really becomes out of sight, out of mind. So I'm going to move it over here, and that does mean I will need to get my step stool out to work on it and everything, but it'll be down and open and I'll be able to see it. I also think I'll switch to safety pins versus just the straight pins that are in here, just in case the cats are able to go crazy and they decide to get up on my table and they want to start grabbing at it. I don't want them to pull out any of the straight pins and get them stuck in their paw, or heavens forbid, I don't want them to swallow them, because then that becomes an emergency surgery. I hope everyone realized that this was probably going to be a long-term project, and I don't know if we'll see it finished in 2024. We're getting into the crazy busy time right now. I just want to make sure everyone knows that I haven't totally forgotten about it, that I've been mentally sewing it together in my head. It's kind of what I do when I'm working on these random type projects, is I go ahead and I mentally think, okay, do I want to design it this way or this way? It's kind of like moving furniture in the house. You can move all the furniture around and use all your energy up, or you can just try to mentally picture it and see where you might want it. So I try to mentally picture how things are going to work, and then I start sewing them together. I did sew some things together. My stack of projects, you can't tell, but it has gotten just a little bit shorter over there. It's still a big stack. I'm working on it, but I did finish a few projects. Several of the projects were just to add the binding to, so I added the binding to the flying geese. I believe this is called the wind-flown flying geese, or the wind-blown geese, I think it's what it's called. So these were all the plaids and polka dots. I just have the wavy stitching. I know I've shown it before with the polka dots on the back. I used the light window screen here and the dark window screen for the binding. So this one will be going into the shop. I don't think this one has a right side or a wrong side in which way it's put up on the wall like this, but this is the sewing room mini. That one just needed the binding also. Chose the white binding. I did need to cut the binding. This one has one kind of swirl fabric here and another kind of swirl fabric there. White on white isn't always exactly the same, so this one I think is a little bit more towards a gray white, and this one's more of the bright white, but I think it still works out nice. And then it has, that's an accurate color for the back, because once I put it in the shop and I take pictures and everything, who knows what they're gonna look like, but that's a very accurate color. If you ever wonder about something in the shop, you can go ahead and ask me to do another picture of it. I can make a little video to send you in an email, but usually when you see them here on the Whip It Wednesdays, I will describe it for you and hopefully get a better accurate look so you know what you're getting. But this one's a really fun one. I wouldn't mind hanging something like this in my room, but I think for me, I might go with a little bit narrower strip here. I think I used 1.5 inches. Yep, I use 1.5 inches because we were following a pattern that I found online on someone's blog. So I think next time I will go a little bit narrower, maybe do 1 inch or 1.25 inches. But you can use just about any color in there, but I do like the white, and then these were just charm squares. This one also will be going in the shop. Last project that I finished up is this batik, and I think it was called something like pipes because it looked like the pipes with the water running down like that. You use darker fabrics here and lighter fabrics there. So this is the backing fabric, and that's pretty accurate in the color, and I also use that same backing fabric as the binding because it's all batiks. And I thought this was a really fun. So you can use this as a table runner. You can possibly put your sewing machine on it if you wanted the sewing machine mat. You would have, maybe you're going to put 2 as you're storing. I've seen in a lot of videos where people have a second table where they store extra sewing machines. So if they have like their smaller sewing machine like my little brother, and then they have a serger or something like that, I think this would be fun to put that on the table as a little table mat runner, and then put those extra sewing machines on, add a little bit of color to your room. You could hang it on the wall. This could go in one of those spaces where you have above a door where it's really long and narrow, especially here with those double doors. Or you can put it this way down a long section of a wall. In this house, we have a lot of weird areas that can have just different styles of quilts. This will also be going in the shop, so if you're interested, please check out my Etsy shop. It's listed down below in the description box, quick link, or just look for Our Silent Crafts. I've also been working on the fabric postcards and getting some of them finished up. I have several Halloween ones and then just some other random fabrics. Now with the Halloween ones, I just quilted them normally with everyday thread. It looks like I used orange for most of them, but when it came to the stitching, I call it thread binding. So when it comes to that thread binding all the way around that you can sort of see on the back, normally it looks like this. It's usually a stronger color. But for these, I used a glow-in-the-dark thread, and I used a technique that I learned a while ago, and I haven't been able to find the videos again. So I don't have top stitching thread. I just keep your basic cotton threads here. But with this, I wanted it thicker because I've learned that the thicker of the thread, because it's an embroidery thread, so when you're embroidering on something, it bunches it up and layers it over and over. So this glow-in-the-dark thread works better when I double it up or I have a very dense, like a satin stitch. And I have a video coming out on Friday. It's a quick, short one. I don't think it's come out yet. It might be coming out this Friday or it's already out. But I show how to use 2 threads at the same time through 1 needle instead of using like the double needles, the twin needles. I just do it with double the thread in 1 needle, and you get a thicker look to it like top stitching thread. Because I can talk today. Top stitching thread is thicker than your regular sewing thread. So this will glow in the dark, but glow in the dark thread also needs to be charged, so it needs to be sitting underneath a white light like I have here, or in the sunshine. And the first original charging, it usually takes a couple hours. So it's going to glow on the front and glow on the back. I mixed a white thread with a green thread to get that double coverage. So here we go. Halloween ones. This one is one of my favorites. And then we have the hodgepodge. Now these fabrics here that you'll see in these upcoming ones, one of you sent me your leftover Halloween crumbs, and there was just a whole bunch of strips sewn together like this, and some different scrappy versions like that. I just went ahead and I cut it to fit my fabric postcards, and I thought that was perfect because some of them fit perfectly and some of them just needed that little extra bit added to it. But when they went from side to side, it was perfect. So I just went and said, oh, let's use some orange fabric on them to go with all of that orange. I quilted these up and down like this, and then I used this same, I call it a feather stitch, to go across here. I didn't do a regular stitch and flip sew it down, so it's just layered. So I went with that wider stitch to hold it down. But I thought these were really fun. So this one has some pumpkins on it. All of these will be going in the shop. I will probably list them all in one grouping. I don't know if it'll be a pick and choose, like you want this one over this one. I think I might just list all of these in one listing and then just say you'll receive them as a random thing. You know how I have 7 of them. I don't know how many I have, but if I have 7 of them and then you just want 3 of them, you'll just randomly get 3. Because they're all such narrow strips of fabric, I think for the most part it's just nothing that really stands out too much. There are some that are really nice, but I think it's just mostly a hodgepodge, just like this one here. So for this one, this was one of those bits that was sent, and then these are all the ones from my 100 2.5 inch square mini quilts that I've made recently. And the same thing here, I just added those scraps down to finish them off. Very similar to my recent video. There's one with a witch. And then we go into the salvage ones you've seen recently, but I finished them. I've got them all quilted. I quilted down each individual fabric to hold it in place. And then I just stitched around and did the thread binding. I haven't decided yet about the salvage ones, but I probably will list them and then let them be chosen individually because I feel like these are actually different. So maybe someone specifically wants this fabric, or maybe someone wants the flowers. So I think that is more of a distinctive fabric postcard to let people choose from. There is the last of those. And then on these two, someone had sent me some of their scraps just left over. It must have been from a quilt or something. This reminds me of maybe a wedding invitation or pieces from a wedding quilt or something like that, because it's the white with that silvery gray. So I just went ahead and put them all together and I stitched them with that gray thread that you can see. And I thought these were just really sweet. So maybe you want to send one to someone and you don't want to be, wow, right in their face, but you want something nice and mellow. I wasn't sure when I first started doing these because I thought they kind of just look blank and empty, but I know not everyone is wild and crazy and not everyone wants to send wild and crazy. So I thought this might be really sweet. Maybe you want to send out an invitation. Maybe you want to send a little thank you from a wedding. That would be fun. So I have all of these. It's going to take me a little bit of time to get these into the shop, but go ahead and check. Always check on the community tab. If you keep an eye on that here on YouTube, I generally post on there when everything goes into the shop. Look at that nice stack of finished fabric postcards. There's 19 of them there. I was really busy. So your scrappy word for today is wedding. Have you made a wedding quilt for yourself, for your children, or just someone really close to you? Do these remind you of maybe something for a wedding? I haven't made a wedding quilt for like a bed, but I have made a wedding gift that my son could give to his friends. It was a throw quilt, and I also made a little mini wall hanging, and on it, it had a mailbox with the new couples, their new last name, and it had little embroidered flowers and everything all around it. I had a lot of fun working on that. I don't think I have a picture anywhere that I can pull up for it to show you, but it was really a cute project and I loved it. It was something I saw in a magazine somewhere, one of those crafting magazines. So if you're interested in any of these mini quilts, please check out my Etsy shop. You might find something else in there you like. You can also watch one of the most recent videos that have come up on my channel, and then YouTube will choose one that they think you'll enjoy watching. So thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!